The business environment that we find ourselves in today is the environment that we're going to have to adapt to over the next 10 years. Our workforce are going to have to adapt. They're going to have to multitask. They're going to have to take on extra responsibilities. That is the future of commerce in Ireland. The reality is that Ireland has suffered a recession, but the problem in Ireland right now is not the recession that we had. It's the reaction of the self-employed to the recession. My God, the answer to that is stay, go nowhere, do not leave. You do not have to emigrate in order to have a successful business in Ireland. The future of commerce in Ireland is about creativity. The hard truth, creativity and the lack of it is killing businesses all over Ireland on a daily basis. The responsibility of all business owners, of all shop owners, is to now stimulate their business. It's to create footfall, it's to induce customers, it's to ensure that you stand out, that you communicate with your customers, that you're edgy. Forget about micromanaging, forget about signing the checks, get to the beating heart of your business. Ask yourself this question: are you the dead anchor that's holding your business back, or are you the beating heart? Are you the person that's driving your business? There isn't one, there are three: lack of leadership, lack of transparency, and lack of disposable income. Mortgage debt forgiveness. Is it on the table or is it off the table? The reality is that the government need to extend the lifetime of mortgages. Gone are the days of a 25-year mortgage. Let's be more like Switzerland, a generational mortgage. Extend your mortgage out to 75 years. Now let's look at the net effect. Your repayment has reduced substantially overnight, giving you more disposable income to pump into your local economy. And in doing that, we're creating real employment. Look at what we've achieved. We've dealt with the mortgage issue. We've dealt with the disposable income issue, and now we're turning our attention to our local economy, and in doing that we're turning our attention to the greater issue, which is the national economy. We're on the road to recovery. So let's look at it more closely. Leadership and transparency, debt forgiveness. Is it on or is it off? Does it exist? Doesn't it exist? Are there deals done behind closed doors? Why can one guy get it and the other guy can't? Is it a figment of our imagination? Is it a situation where paper never refuses ink? The government need to make a decision. Make a decision now. Put it on the table or take it off the table. How do people cope? It's the number one question that I'm always asked. Where do you go for help? Who do you talk to? I think the biggest issue is that you've got to confront the fear. Fear has utterly gripped the self-employed in Ireland for the last 3 years, to the point where it has stifled business. Fear is the single biggest issue that needs to be overcome by all self-employed people. There is a constant pressure to find where your next deal is coming from. There's a constant strain to be creative. The challenge is, how do I get the next client that wants to buy a car to think of me? What is it that I'm going to do to induce that client to visit my dealership? But what choice do I have? Where to from here? I believe in this country. I believe that we will recover. And so the challenge that I have set myself is to survive, no matter what, to keep the lights on, to do whatever it is that I need to do. Shepherd's pie is my baby. I delivered a speech in Clonmel in 2010 in front of my hometown, and I spoke very openly about the effects of the recession on me, financially, emotionally, on my young family, on my wife. I could feel it in the room. I knew I was having an effect. I wanted the message to get out. I wanted to explain to people that they weren't alone. I knew the pressure that people were under. I had been there. I wanted to explain that we must deal with the fear. We must overcome the fear. We must deal with that in order to recover. We must fix ourselves first before we can fix our business. So I wrote my story. I told my story, warts and all. I talked about how I had screwed it up, how I'd made decisions and gotten it wrong. I explained that some of the things that had happened were beyond my control because of what was happening in this country. But in the end, I recognised a calling. It wasn't to drive a cement lorry through the gates of Dáil Éireann. It wasn't to march on the street. I just wanted to be able to put this on the shelf in my living room or in the shop, and for my kids to be able to say that during that time in Ireland, my dad, my grandfather, he stood up, he spoke out, and he tried to make a difference. He made his mark. So Shepherd's Pie is all about being in business in Ireland in the good times and in the bad times. And more importantly, it's about being in business in Ireland today. It's about accepting who you are, it's about accepting where we are, and it's about accepting what we have to do to survive. So if you're in business or you know somebody in business, this is the book that you need to read. It explains very clearly the stress and the trauma of being in business in Ireland over the last 3 years. But it also sets out very clearly the steps that you need to take in order to rectify your situation. In the end, always remember, you must be an active participant in your own recovery. You must lead the way. It's your responsibility. In the book, I talk about my Shepherd's Pie moment, the turning point for me, the moment where I drew inspiration from my 2 children. It started my fight back, and you know what? I haven't looked back. That's a no-brainer for me. It's very simple. You must be decisive. You must decide, am I staying in business and am I getting out of business? Am I losing money? Am I making money? If I'm losing money, why am I losing money? What do I need to do to rectify it? What role am I going to play in resolving my issues? Don't stand in your shop waiting for recovery. Don't imagine that things will get better. You've got to make them better. Be active, be decisive, overcome the fear. Yes, there is absolute hope. The future looks good. All over Ireland daily there are businesses, even in this environment, trading very, very well and being very profitable. Today, 3.5 million people over the age of 15 are spending money in this country. Over 1.6 million people went to work this morning. And the good news for me, there are over 2 million cars on Irish roads that need to be serviced, that need to be maintained, that need to be replaced. So there is an economy. There is a bustling economy.